Most folks spend 40 years pulling the oars of a galley, only to reach the shore with nary a copper to show for it. Think about that for a second. It's kind of crazy when you really look at it. It is a massive failure of our modern education system that we can flawlessly recite the kings of England or, calculate the hypotenuse of a triangle, yet we are left completely in the dark on how to structure a basic budget. We were just never taught the rules of the money game. And because of that, we spend our entire adult lives rowing in endless circles. To see just how deep that educational failure actually goes, just consider this number, $400. Right now, banks around the world are swimming in absolute trillions. There's literally more capital out there than at any point in human history. Yet nearly half the country couldn't scrape together this exact amount, just $400 for a broken down car or an unexpected medical emergency without begging, borrowing, or taking on some crazy high-interest debt. It's a staggering contrast, isn't it? Well, we are going to change that reality today. Welcome to This Explainer. I am genuinely thrilled you're tuning in because today we are going over a literal blueprint. We're going to shift away from that stressful paycheck-to-paycheck mindset and start building a well-oiled machine of wealth. I'm going to guide you through exactly how to construct your own machinery for ultimate financial freedom, laying out the exact parts you need to start installing in your life today. Okay, so let's quickly run through our manual for today and outline the 6 parts we need to assemble our financial engine. We've got the financial education gap, assets versus liabilities, the power of patience, your circle and value, buying back your time, and finally, the never-ending study. All right, let's jump right in. Section 1, the financial education gap, the tool and the learning. So the very first foundational piece to building wealth is realizing that money itself, it's not the destination. It's just a vehicle. Think of it as a tool meant to buy you freedom, like the freedom to say a resounding no to a job you absolutely hate, or the freedom to comfortably care for sick relatives without going into a blind panic. But look, you have to learn how to drive before you get the keys. The shocking truth is that 7 out of 10 folks who stumble into a pile of gold lose it all. Why? Because they earned before they learned. We see it literally all the time with these burly NFL players making millions. They often go completely bankrupt in just 2 years, sometimes buying, pet tigers or massively depreciating sports cars, simply because they don't understand the basic machinery of money. And that brings us to the crucial point. Knowledge is the only currency that never devalues or gets taxed. It is the ultimate, untouchable asset. You absolutely must aggressively acquire this financial knowledge before you start chasing the coin. Because if you don't build that foundation first, the whole house is going to collapse the second the wind blows. True wealth isn't the cash sitting in the bank. It's the financial literacy in your head that knows exactly how to keep it there. Moving right along to Section 2, assets versus liabilities. Let's start building the engine. So let's drop the theory and define exactly what generates real wealth, starting with an asset. Simply put, an asset is something that puts money into your pocket while you sleep. We're talking rental properties, dividend-paying stocks, automated businesses. You could be on vacation, you could be napping, and that asset is still generating cash flow for you. A wise person focuses entirely on acquiring these. If we go back to our machine analogy, these assets are the engine cylinders. They work tirelessly for you around the clock, and they don't require any direct physical labor from you to keep firing. Now, contrast that with a liability. These are the things that actively eat your pocketbook every single month. They demand constant upkeep, and worst of all, they don't pay you a single cent in return. And here's the part that completely catches a lot of people off guard. Often, your primary home is really just a fancy liability. Think about it for a second. It requires constant property taxes, maybe a new roof after a bad storm, unexpected plumbing repairs, or a suddenly broken water heater. All of those things continually siphon money right out of your pocket without generating a dime of income. So, when you put these two side by side, the fundamental question you have to ask yourself is, what are you accumulating? Are you building up a robust portfolio of rental properties and businesses? Or are you building a closet full of designer clothes, the absolute latest smartphones, and hefty car payments? The tough reality here is that most folks spend their entire lives endlessly feeling a machine of liabilities, mistaking those liabilities for actual wealth just because they look expensive. Which brings us to Section 3, the power of patience. This is how we fuel the machine. To get this engine running, we desperately need patience. Back in 1972, Stanford researchers did this famous marshmallow test. They put a marshmallow in front of some young kids and told them, hey, if you wait 15 minutes, you'll get 2. They actually tracked those kids for decades and found out that the ones who successfully delayed gratification grew up to be significantly wealthier and healthier. And that exact same principle applies to your cash. If you take $1,000 and blow it on a weekend frolic, it's gone forever. Zero. Poof. But if you plant that exact same $1,000 into an index fund, that tiny seed explodes in value over 30 years, growing to over $7,000 without you having to lift a single finger. That is the true magic of patience. And the invisible driver behind that magic is compound interest. Compound interest is an incredibly patient friend, multiplying your money effortlessly over time. But listen to me, it is a cruel, cruel enemy if you are carrying debt. It's the high-octane fuel for your assets, sure. But if you're holding a balance on your credit cards, like, say, paying off a $50 dinner for the next 3 years, that exact same compound interest will absolutely destroy your financial engine from the inside out. It literally turns minor purchases into lifelong financial anchors. All right, let's keep it moving. Section 4, your circle and value, the operators. So now that our engine is fueled up, we really have to look at the operators of your machine, your immediate environment, and the specific value you bring to the marketplace. First up, your network is your net worth. You've probably heard this before, but you are the average of the 5 folks you spend the most time with. It's just human nature. If your friends act like drunken sailors with their money, you are going to end up spending like one too. You have to actively upgrade your circle. Find a group that talks about growth, strategy, and investment. Your habits will naturally follow your environment, so you need to curate that environment ruthlessly. Alongside who you hang out with is what you actually produce. There is a very simple, completely unbreakable rule of the marketplace. Scarcity plus impact equals high reward. The world honestly does not pay you for your time. It pays you for your value. A brilliant surgeon solving a super rare, complex medical problem earns exponentially more than someone doing easily replaceable, routine work. Why? Because the market strictly rewards scarce, high-impact value, not just hours punched on a clock. If you want more money, you have to figure out a way to solve bigger, more complex problems.
Coming up on Section 5, buying back your time, the ultimate output.
Look, the entire point of building this wealth machine revolves around one undeniable fact. Time is the single thing in the universe you literally cannot manufacture more of. It is strictly limited. To actually reclaim your life, you follow a pretty clear progression. First, you build your wealth machinery through assets and compound interest. Next, you take the cash flow from that machine and use it to buy back your hours. Pay a bookkeeper, hire someone to mow the lawn, delegate the repetitive stuff. And finally, you spend those reclaimed hours on higher things. Pursue your passions, be with your family, or honestly, just get some well-deserved rest as you get on in years. And finally, we arrive at Section 6, the never-ending study, machine maintenance. Because a machine always needs upkeep to keep running smoothly, right? You have to remember that finance moves like a steamboat in a spring flood. It is incredibly fast and utterly unpredictable. If you have a map from 1905, well, it's completely useless today because the river has literally changed course. That's exactly why even the great Warren Buffett, at 93 years old, spends half his day just reading. Old knowledge quickly becomes obsolete, markets shift, new technologies emerge out of nowhere. You have to continually learn and adapt to maintain your wealth machine. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to take away this one empowering command. Build your habits today with grit and consistency while your purse is light. Forge these financial muscles right now. Because here's the truth. If you can't manage $10 properly, there is absolutely no way you'll be able to manage 10 grand. Learn exactly how to carry your purse right now, budgeting and investing the small amounts so you are perfectly prepared when it eventually gets heavy with wealth. I want to leave you with a final thought to really chew on. Money itself, it won't actually change who you are. It just magnifies your character. It just gives you the power to do a whole lot more of what you already do. When your wealth machine is fully operational and your purse is heavy, what is it going to reveal about you? What kind of person will that newly built wealth ultimately broadcast to the world? Think on that for a bit. Go build your machine and keep learning.